Holy smokes, politics, what a combination, right? When faith and law collide, sparks are bound to fly. Let's be honest, talking about religion and politics is like trying to mix oil and water. They just don't blend easily. It's messy, potentially explosive, and everyone has an opinion. From heated debates at family dinners to intense discussions on social media, these topics can ignite passions like no other. But like it or not, these two powerful forces have been intertwined for centuries, shaping societies and sparking debates that continue to this day. From the Crusades to the Reformation, and from the founding of nations to modern-day policymaking, religion and politics have always been in a complex dance. On one hand, religion provides a moral compass, guiding individuals and communities towards what they believe is right and just. It offers a sense of purpose, a framework for understanding the world, and a set of values to live by. It's no surprise then that people of faith often feel compelled to bring those values into the public square, advocating for policies that align with their beliefs. They see it as a duty to influence the world for the better, to stand up for what they believe is morally correct. On the other hand, we have politics, the art of governing and making decisions that impact everyone, regardless of their faith or lack thereof. Politics is about compromise, negotiation, and finding common ground among diverse groups of people. This is where things get tricky. Balancing the rights of religious groups to voice their views with the need for inclusive policies that respect the diversity of beliefs and non-beliefs within a society is no easy task. How do we balance the rights of religious groups to voice their views with the need for inclusive policies that respect the diversity of beliefs and non-beliefs within a society? It's a delicate balancing act, one that requires careful consideration and a deep understanding of both sides. That's the million-dollar question, folks, and this essay attempts to unpack this complex relationship, exploring the historical context, contemporary dynamics, and ethical dilemmas surrounding the Church's role in political decision-making. We'll delve into how religious beliefs have influenced laws and policies throughout history, and how political decisions have, in turn, affected religious practices and freedoms. Buckle up, it's going to be a bumpy ride. We'll navigate through the twists and turns of this intricate relationship, examining case studies, expert opinions, and real-world examples to shed light on this ever-relevant topic. So, hold on tight, and get ready for an enlightening journey through the intersection of faith and politics.
From thrones to town squares, a history of church power. The story of how religious institutions have influenced and shaped political power is a fascinating journey through time. For most of human history, religion and politics weren't just intertwined, they were practically inseparable. The lines between spiritual authority and political power were often blurred, creating a complex tapestry of influence and control. Think back to ancient civilizations, where rulers often claimed divine right, their authority ordained by the gods themselves. This divine endorsement was not just a matter of faith, but a powerful tool for legitimizing their rule and maintaining order. Priests held significant sway, temples doubled as power centers, and challenging religious dogma could land you in some serious hot water or worse. These religious leaders were not just spiritual guides, but also key political players, often advising kings and influencing state decisions. Fast forward to medieval Europe, where the Catholic Church wielded immense power, influencing everything from education and art to law and governance. The Church was a unifying force in a fragmented continent, providing a common identity and set of beliefs. Kings and queens might have worn the crowns, but the Pope often called the shots, shaping the political landscape and even launching crusades in the name of God. These holy wars were not just religious endeavors, but also political maneuvers to expand influence and control. Of course, this cozy relationship between church and state wasn't without its critics. Throughout history, there were always voices challenging the authority of the church and its involvement in secular matters. The Protestant Reformation challenged the Catholic Church's authority, leading to religious wars and ultimately paving the way for greater separation between religious and secular spheres. This movement was driven by figures like Martin Luther, who questioned the Church's practices and called for a return to what they saw as true Christian values. The Enlightenment further emphasized reason and individual liberty, challenging the Church's grip on knowledge and power. Philosophers like Voltaire and Rousseau argued for a society based on reason rather than religious dogma, advocating for the separation of church and state. This shift in thinking laid the groundwork for modern democracies, where, at least in theory, the government derives its power from the consent of the governed, not from divine mandate. The principles of liberty, equality and fraternity became the foundation of new political systems, moving away from theocratic rule. Even today, the influence of religious institutions in politics has not entirely disappeared. In many parts of the world, religious leaders still hold significant sway over political matters, and debates about the role of religion in public life continue to shape societies. The global landscape of religion and politics is diverse, with different regions experiencing varying degrees of church-state separation. In some countries, religion remains a central aspect of national identity and governance, while in others, secularism is more pronounced. As we move forward, interfaith dialogue and cooperation become increasingly important. Understanding the historical context of church power helps us navigate the complexities of modern religious and political interactions, fostering a more inclusive and harmonious world. The future of the relationship between church and state will undoubtedly continue to evolve. As societies change and new challenges arise, the balance of power between religious institutions and political entities will be a key factor in shaping our world.
Pulpit to protests. How churches flex their political muscles today. While the church's overt political power has waned in many parts of the world, its influence is far from gone. Churches and religious organizations continue to shape political discourse and mobilize their followers around issues they deem morally significant. Think about it. Churches are often deeply embedded in communities, serving as gathering places, sources of support, and platforms for social activism. They provide a ready-made network for disseminating information, organizing protests, and lobbying for or against specific policies. From voter registration drives to issuing statements on social justice issues, churches engage in a wide range of activities that blur the lines between religious expression and political advocacy. Pastors may preach about the moral imperative to address poverty, environmental degradation, or discrimination, urging their congregations to take action. Religious groups also wield significant influence through lobbying efforts, campaign contributions, and endorsements of political candidates who align with their values. This is particularly evident in countries where religion plays a prominent role in public life.
Separation anxiety. The church-state tightrope walk. The question of how much influence religious institutions should have in a democracy is a contentious one. This debate has been ongoing for centuries, with no clear resolution in sight. On one hand, religious groups argue for their right to participate in public life and influence policy based on their moral convictions. On the other hand, secularists insist on maintaining a clear boundary to ensure that no single belief system dominates the political landscape. It all boils down to the delicate balance between upholding religious freedom while preventing the imposition of one group's beliefs on others. This balance is crucial in a pluralistic society where multiple faiths and belief systems coexist. The challenge lies in creating a framework that respects individual freedoms without allowing any one group to wield disproportionate influence. This is where the principle of separation of church and state comes into play. This principle is not just a legal doctrine, but a foundational element of modern democratic governance. It serves as a safeguard against the potential for religious tyranny and ensures that government remains neutral in matters of faith. This concept, enshrined in many constitutions around the world, aims to prevent government entanglement with religion and vice versa. By doing so, it seeks to protect both religious institutions from state interference and the state from religious domination. This dual protection is essential for maintaining the integrity of both entities. It's about ensuring that the government doesn't favor one religion over another or over non-religion, and that religious institutions don't dictate public policy. Sounds simple enough, right? However, the reality is far more complex. The lines between religious influence and political power are often blurred, leading to conflicts and controversies. Well, in practice, it's anything but. The implementation of church-state separation is fraught with challenges. different interpretations of what constitutes separation can lead to legal battles and public outcry. The tension between maintaining religious freedom and ensuring secular governance is a constant balancing act. Drawing a clear line between church and state is like trying to nail jelly to a wall. The boundaries are often fluid and subject to interpretation. What one person sees as a necessary expression of religious freedom, another might view as an inappropriate encroachment on secular governance. Where does religious expression end and political advocacy begin? This question is at the heart of many debates. Religious groups often engage in political advocacy, arguing that their moral perspectives should inform public policy. Critics, however, warn that this can lead to the erosion of secular principles and the marginalization of minority beliefs. Can a government fund faith-based social services without violating the separation principle? This is another contentious issue. Faith-based organizations often provide essential services, but their religious affiliations can raise concerns about impartiality and inclusivity. Finding a way to support these services without compromising secular values is a delicate task. These are just a few of the thorny questions that courts and legal scholars grapple with constantly. The judiciary plays a crucial role in interpreting and enforcing the separation of church and state. Their decisions can set important precedents and shape the future of this principle. The interpretation and application of separation of church and state vary significantly across countries, reflecting different historical contexts, cultural norms, and legal traditions. Some nations have strict separation policies, while others allow for more interaction between religious institutions and the state. Understanding these differences is key to appreciating the complexity of this issue. Let's take a look at how some nations navigate this complex terrain. By examining various approaches, we can gain insights into the strengths and weaknesses of different models and perhaps find ways to improve our own systems.